It has been quite a challenging year so far, more so in the past fortnight when the African continent began to truly feel the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on its socio-economic life. From casual, ambivalent and sometimes humorous rhetorics, the conversations have drifted to worry and panic in many quarters. It is a reality that must be faced with the doggedness it deserves. A united front is called for as the latest threat to man's continued mastery of the planet shows no sign of going away anytime soon. The gates have been shut in some states across the country, while some have also employed other measures to curb the spread of coronavirus. However, information sharing, compliance, and possible treatments form a tripod on which some societies have achieved relative success in a pushback against the ravaging virus. Today on Political Update, we will examine state-by-state response so far and interrogate the concept of synergy and collaborative efforts in this fight. I'm Fisayo Ogunfuyi. Welcome. 6 new cases of COVID-19 have been reported in Osun State, Nigeria, as at 11 a.m. Friday, the 3rd of April, meaning that there are now 190 confirmed cases of COVID-19 reported in Nigeria. 20 patients have so far been discharged with 2 deaths recorded. Let's review the last briefing on the COVID-19 pandemic by the Presidential Task Force as put together by Mitari Ikme.
As COVID-19 cases begin to rise in the country, the Presidential Task Force is rolling out more strategies for testing, treatment, and containment of the pandemic, including the need for more treatment and isolation centers at the state levels.
It is important that states, whether in the front line where cases have been reported or where cases have not been reported yet, to intensify the preparation of facilities that will help in the event of a surge. Either a hotel or other facilities that are available to them, a place where they can provide basic nursing and other required procedure. The Presidential Task Force shall intensify consultations with the governors and other state agencies to achieve the much-needed collaboration.
On our contacts, we have traced and are monitoring 71% of all of them. By the end of today, that percentage will increase.
Lagos, Abuja disinfection is ongoing because we have more cases in these areas.
The task force, however, warned that circulation of fake news is a threat to government's containment of the pandemic.
So far, the Presidential Task Force has not received any donation directly in terms of cash for this exercise.
We appreciate the effort of the private sector in helping us, and they will be providing us with commodities. But the money that they are currently collecting will not come to government. It's a separate bank account.
It's been trending on the social media that the equipment and aid that we receive from China, from Jack Ma, they've all been infected with the virus. This is not true.
In view of the prevailing global shortages of particular commodities like masks and protective gowns and even of ventilators, we are going to have conversations with the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to look for indigenous producers, indigenous manufacturers.
We just started the program of this cash transfer. No section of this country is going to be marginalized.
In compliance with international treaty and law, we cannot deny our citizens entry to our nation.
Nigerians in affected lockdown states were advised not to abuse the 4-hour period to purchase food supplies.
We don't expect people to travel long distances in order to obtain food. We expect that there will be markets that will sell food or shops that will sell food, groceries, etc. close to them.
The task force assured health workers and other frontline responders in the fight against COVID-19 of adequate protection, while appealing to Nigerians that the restrictions are not punitive, but to safeguard the health and wealth of the nation. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
As Nigeria sustained efforts towards containing the coronavirus pandemic, President Muhammadu Buhari insists that value be retained within the economy while the poor and the vulnerable remain protected. The president gave the order at a strategic engagement with the Presidential Committee assessing the impact of COVID-19 on the nation's economy. Let's hear the rest of this report from Adamu Sambo.
President Muhammadu Buhari and members of the committee headed by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, analyzed the COVID-19 crisis on the economy, the various intervention measures introduced by government, as well as further steps to be taken in the best interests of Nigeria and Nigerians. Speaking to NTA News after the closed-door meeting, Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed said discussions also centered on the negative consequences of the lockdown on the economy, especially small businesses, and what needs to be done to mitigate such.
His directive is make sure salaries are paid, make sure critical infrastructure projects like roads, rails are protected. As much as possible, use local inputs so that we retain value within our economy, and also make sure that you have measures that protect the poor and the vulnerable.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, said President Buhari also engaged the committee members on the situation in the global oil market as a result of the coronavirus pandemic.
The economy is not in the best of shapes due to COVID-19. Oil prices are also collapsing every day. So we need to be on top of it and to brief Mr. President regularly.
What have you suggested to him?
I can't say that. The discussions are still ongoing, so we can't really say where we are now. You know, it's a developing situation. We live here now, oil prices will be different from where we left it when we were outside. So we can't really say exactly what we are discussing now, because it's something where we need to be updating regularly.
So what was his response?
Of course, he has given us his directives. I mean, he has looked at what we have told him, and he has also given us some direction on how to carry on.
It's not looking as easy as everybody thought it would be. The global economy, not naturally, like we all know at this time, will certainly suffer some very serious growth problems that may even lead to recession globally. So what we want to do is to see what can we do as a country to rescue our own situation so we don't go the direction many will go. It's not going to be easy, but we can only just assure our people that we are on top of it and that we'll resolve it, and Nigerians will still be better for it.
At the instance of the President, the Zainab Ahmed Committee continued its strategic engagement with the Presidential Committee on Economic Sustainability led by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Okay, it's a live program, so we will quickly go to Lagos now and get an update of what is happening as far as the update of COVID-19 is concerned from that center. Lagos Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, is already on the podium.
4 more patients were discharged today. That included 3 females and 1 male. Of the 3 females, 1 was a girl child, the age of 6 weeks. Well, when she was admitted, she was 6 weeks, so she's 8 weeks now. Both mother and child are doing well, recovered, fully recovered, and discharged. Yesterday, we diagnosed 16 new patients. So in total, we discharged 15 over the last 2 days, and yesterday we diagnosed 16 new patients. The principle that we're trying to implement is the concept of flattening the curve. Essentially, that means that we're trying to reduce the speed at which we get new patients. That allows us the time and the space to accommodate patients that may have moderate to severe disease. At the moment, most of our patients have had mild disease, some bordering on moderate. We have had no deaths, and our patients seem to be profiling well and spending between 1 to 2 weeks on admission before they are discharged when their tests are negative. Our sum total of confirmed cases is 98 to date. 98. That's our sum total of confirmed cases in Lagos. Out of those 98, we still have 74 active cases. In other words, they have not turned negative yet. And we have 24 that have fully recovered and discharged. The local government that has the highest number of confirmed cases is Etiosa with 47, followed by Ikeja with 24, and Lagos mainland with 11. Alimosho, Agege, and Ikorodu have the lowest number of confirmed cases, with 1 in each of those local government areas. So once again, Etiosa has the highest number of confirmed cases at 47, Ikeja 24, and Lagos mainland 11. The peak of the age group is between 30 and 59. So we're seeing most of our cases between the age of 30 and 59. We have 2 patients over the age of 60 and 2 patients over the age of 70. We have 6 patients between 10 and 19. Majority of our patients are male, with 64% male and 36% female. 64% male, 36% female. Between the first 4 weeks of the outbreak in Lagos, 82% of the cases were imported, with 12% contacts of the imported cases. In the last week, the ratio has changed. The number of imported cases has decreased, and we're now seeing an increasing number of patients that don't have a travel history. So 68% imported in the last week, and 32% as a result of local transmission. So that means that the demography of the infection is changing. We are no longer seeing imported cases because of the limitations of movement, and we're seeing more transmission within the community. When we're looking at nationality, 91% of our cases are Nigerians, and 9% are foreign nationals. So at the moment, we're still operating from the Yaba Mainland Hospital, the infectious disease hospital in Yaba. We still have adequate bed space because as we admit, we are also discharging. So we have we've reached about 70% capacity at the Yaba Hospital. We are looking to open the Bagada Isolation Hospital next week, and we're also looking to commission the Onikon tent at the Onikon Stadium next week. So that will bring into commission 2 more isolation facilities, which will give us a total bed space, isolation bed space of about 300. After that, there are other projects that will be commissioned, and we're looking at a total of 6 isolation facilities in the next month. We're carrying on training on a weekly basis because we need the medical personnel that are going to man these additional isolation facilities. And we're training both doctors, nurses, hygienists, and general ward attendants. And that training is carrying on as we speak. In fact, in this hospital right now, there's a training session going on. So, access to personal protection equipment, we have adequate stocks. Our testing has been increased. We're now testing at 3 sites independently. That is the Infectious Disease Hospital, the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, and the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research. And we're testing between 200 and 300 tests a day. So we're ramping up capacity across the board. The impact of social distancing plus our contact tracing and isolation of positive cases seems to be slowing down the steep of the curve. In other words, we are achieving some degree of bending the curve or flattening the curve. Our mathematical model, if we had not carried out any of these 2 interventions, would have shown a very steep rise in cases. But right now, we're averaging between 6 and sometimes 10 and sometimes 15 cases per day. We would have been seeing a lot more cases per day had these interventions not been put in place. So our modeling suggests that the graph is flattening, and that is giving us the time to put certain things in place and to be able to accommodate most of our patients. The profile of our patients still remains mild, some few moderate, and very few severe. And so far, we have had no mortality in Lagos. We have had 100% recovery out of 24 patients that have been discharged. Thank you very much.
Bayomi, Commissioner for Health for Lagos State, giving an update on that, on the situation of the pushback against COVID-19 in that state. I'm being joined in the studio by my guest, the political analyst, to join us today, Aminu Dati Ahmed. You saw what Lagos is doing there. They seem on top of the game at this time.
Yeah, basically it's looking as if where we are now, Lagos is the only state in Nigeria. We would have wanted to see more from other states across the country. And mind you, this is the Commissioner of Health in Lagos State. This is not even the governor speaking, which goes to show you that they are on top of their game. They understand, they have studied this COVID-19 cases across the world. And they're trying to, as he said, using his words, bend the curve or flatten it. Now, that begs to ask the question, what are the other governors waiting for? You know, why are we not seeing such briefs that we just saw from Lagos, from the other states? And you see, this brings us to the question of why Nigerians are always looking to the center for answers. We have administrators in all the 36 states and the FCT, but we're not seeing them doing what Lagos is doing. Or are they waiting for the cases to come to them first? Because this started in Lagos, it has moved to FCT, it has spread now to other states, up to the north. So no state can claim that it is safe for now. And what measures are we, employing for testing? Because if we don't test as much as we need to, how do we really know who is infected or who is not? Because as the experts have been saying, it's not like the Ebola that when you see a person walking, the symptoms are obvious. With the COVID-19, somebody could walk for days or weeks or even go through the checks, and then nothing shows. But they're transmitting to other people. So we need to see more proactiveness from the states and not always looking towards the center for answers.
All right. Also in that brief, we saw that 2 already are coming on stream, 2 other facilities in Bagada and Oniko. Of course, we have reports from across the country, but we won't go to those ones now. You've been seeing them on regular bulletins from Akwa Ibom, from Ebonyi State, the virology center there, but that, of course, was done by the federal government. But moving away from that, on the other side of it is the fact that Africa seems a bit helpless in terms of the technology. Yeah, we've talked about testing and some treatment, but in terms of research into what is happening, the epidemics and all this, we seem to be relying on our friends from other climes, and that is putting the continent at a disadvantage.
Yes, it is. And if this COVID-19 pandemic is not a wake-up call for Africa as a continent, and especially West Africa, I don't know what would be. Because we've been relying on running to our helpers in the West and Asia to support us when anything happens in Africa. Unfortunately for us, now they're dealing with their own issues, so they don't really have time for our own problems. And this is the time for us to now look inwards and see what we can do. This, I don't believe this cannot be made in every polytechnic, not even a university in Nigeria. These things are now being manufactured. I saw a report day before yesterday. These things are now being manufactured in people's homes across the world and distributed out for free. I've not seen that being done in Nigeria. We are always looking at the big names coming in to help us. We're not looking at what we as people can do to support ourselves and be our brother's keepers in this time.
All right, that's President Buhari did say in Ethiopia earlier in the year that Africa must now start looking inwards, and it seems as if it's prophetic because a discussion that was monitored in France by a Senegalese player, it was done in French, and the professors were saying they should even try and test some of their things, the BCG vaccine in Africa, as if Africans are some kind of guinea pigs. So it puts to question the fact that our institutions, perhaps we may have shifted focus from medical sciences over time, and now our hand is weak at this point.
Mr. Fisai, we have shifted focus on all sciences. We're not doing, excuse me if I say any research at all, because if you look at where we are today, especially, let me use Nigeria as a case study. All the federal universities in Nigeria, if you compare the thesis that students submit for their final year projects to what other students do across the world, you know that we're not ready to go anywhere. That is the basis. The system of teaching in Nigerian universities does not, support
or encourage
research. And we have so many intelligent students in Nigeria. We have so many intelligent Nigerians doing research for other countries around the world. But we don't see them, we don't bring them back home, or we don't keep them when we produce them here.
All right, time is not our friend. Perhaps it's a question we'll put to and need come when we get them here on Political Update. It's been quite refreshing speaking with you. We had other visuals to show, including the efforts out there in Ebonyi, in Akwa Ibom and other, but perhaps we leave that for next week, hoping that we will, of course, would have, started to see some kind of success in this fight against a ravaging virus in killing mood. I've had Amin Ahmed, he is a political analyst on today's show, hoping, of course, it was a bit short, usual, but of course we expect that when we call you again, you oblige us. That has been Political Update for today. NTA's eclectic ensemble on the political scene, but of course we've been focusing on COVID-19 and the pushback from the administrative perspective. My name is Fisai Ogunfi, thanking you for staying tuned and urging you to stay on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, where we give you the best of news, reviews, previews, and interviews. Bye-bye now.